the market crashed and the world was aghast when one ultra-villain decided to purchase the one thing keeping everyone sane, the internet.
You fools! All your emails, all your calendars, all your memes belong to me now.
Tony Monotony became the sole owner and CEO of the internet. Why? So he could rid the world of all expression. No longer could you log on to your webcam and speak with a friend.
Never want to get yourself caught between two bobcats. Is that... Hello, are you still...
No longer could you dial a relative and offer a smile. No longer could you share your dance moves on TikTok.
Nothing's working. This is worse than Season 8 of Game of Thrones.
It sure is. And to make matters worse, Tony also hired 3 positively despicable henchmen. Robota was a crony with a voice utterly devoid of expression. Her mission was to ensure no one could ever use their voice again. Unface was a minion without any discernible features. No one has ever been able to tell what she is feeling or thinking. And that was just dandy for her. Her mission was to ensure no one could use facial expressions ever again. And lastly, the worst of all, there was Statue, a minion who never moved. He just smiled and sat there, refusing to use any body language of any kind. Some say he didn't even get up to go to the bathroom. He just sat there and did nothing, and wanted the whole world to do the same.
We're doomed! Doomed!
But luckily, a joint effort between the UN, Interpol, and the Bolton Academy of Spoken Arts offered a solution. Project Super Kids. Letters were quickly mailed to BASA students, confirming their enrollment for RCM exams, but also confirming brand new superpowers.
After reading this letter, I can give any word I say a special amount of you can hear it in your bones. Or should I say bones? Ready or not, Tony? Here. Call.
Well, that's right. Children all over the Lower Mainland, but also the world, received letters which enabled them to fight back against Tony and his gang of expressionless freaks.
Whoa! After reading this letter, I can now talk really fast. Look at my mouse move. I can talk faster than a cheetah can run. This is incredible. With my new mouse speed, I can speed in every word that I'm trying to say.
Pausing is important. With my new power, I can stop time itself. With my well-placed pauses, see? I did it. I can freeze everything.
I can memorize books just by sitting through it. I memorized entire encyclopedias, dictionaries, and all of Harry Potter.
My gestures are so potent, they captivate everyone's attention, especially birds. Hawks, crows, seagulls, pigeons, and even emus.
With such clear, succinct articulation, I can bite through anything, even uncooked noodles.
You get the idea. There was now a whole gaggle of enhanced children set to fight the villainous Tony Monotony. And now only one question remained. Will they win? Find out in episode 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BASA's 2021 Gala. And now, please welcome to the screen, Mrs. Carlone.
Not only did BASA manage to transition all of our classes to online, but we managed to do the entire West Coast Festival for the Performing Arts online this year. That's amazing. You students managed to make us teachers laugh, tear up. You inspired us with your original writing and speeches this year. And some of you even constructed the most creative homemade sets I've ever seen in a student's living room. Good job. So it's my pleasure to announce the Wikifapa Gold Medal winners and the West Coast Festival for the Performing Arts Invitational winners. Congratulations, you guys. Here's those names.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen, Mr. S.
Sometimes we think of heroes being those who are super strong and invulnerable to pain. But in the real world, heroes are measured not by how many bullets bounce off them or buildings they lift, but how they can endure the tragedies of everyday life. Vanessa Chen, a two-time winner at the Invitational Festival for the West Coast Festival for the Performing Arts, is going to present a selection from the play Iron Peggy by the Métis playwright Marie Clemens. Iron Peggy follows the story of Peg, a young girl struggling at boarding school, constantly tormented by racist bullies.
From Iron Peggy by Mary Clemens. I'm ugly. I'm stupid. I am a stupid, ugly Asian. Sometimes words can make you sick. The words that are spoken to and the words you say to yourself, they get inside you and drop inside your stomach like small, hard rocks. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how can one small word or one small rock hurt so much? Everything adds up. Words can add up. They can get so heavy. A pebble of a word times 100 is a boulder inside your belly. It feels so heavy, you can barely move. You can barely breathe. Have you ever felt that way? Because I feel that way all the time. All the time, all the time until I want to scream.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen Ms. Thompson.
Hello there. I was just reading to my plants some beautiful poems. I find that plants and writers grow best with a little poetry reading every week. I've got a few questions for you. Have you ever imagined your name in lights? Have you ever imagined writing something without standing finesse and being admired for it? Have you ever wanted to be a famous writer? Well, look no further. You're going to meet some tonight. Their names are about to be in lights. Our young writers study poetry. They write and they write and they write and they draft and they draft and they submit to contests and they win. Enjoy seeing their name in lights.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen Mr. Wong.
Sometimes, heroes have to fight the battles that the rest of us can't. But sometimes the hardest battles to fight are the ones that heroes must fight within themselves. Self-doubt, insecurity, uncertainty, these are things that everybody has to face, but what heroes teach us is that sometimes the most heroic thing to do is to accept yourself for who you are, even when other people do not. Over my time at BASA, I have had the privilege of teaching many students who have found the courage and confidence to accept themselves and their voices, and who have chosen to use those voices to help make their communities a better place. Please allow me to introduce this year's 2021 Invitational Festival winner for Grade 8-9, this year's 2021 Provincial Delegate for Van STF 2020 in Speech and Drama, and this year's soon-to-be youngest ever BASA faculty assistant, Angel Zhao, who will be performing Choi Jung-min.
Choi Jung-min by Franny Choi. In the first grade, I asked my mother permission to go by Francis at school. At 7 years old, I already knew the exhaustion of hearing my name, Jung-min, butchered by hammerhead tongues. Already knew to let my salty Korean name drag behind me in the sand, safely out of sight. In fourth grade, I wanted to be a writer and worried about how to escape my surname. Choi is nothing if not Korean, if not garlic breath and seaweed and sesame and food stamps during the lean years. Could I just go by FJC? Could I be paper thin and raceless, dust jacket and coffee stain, boneless rumor smoldering behind a curtain and speaking through an ink-stained puppet? My father and I ran through all his possible rechristenings, Ian, Isaac, Ivan, and we laughed at each one, knowing that his accent would always give him away. You could hear the pride in my mother's voice when she answered the phone. Hello, this is Grace. As it's some sort of strange grace she spun herself, some lightning made of chainmail. Grace isn't her pseudonym, though everyone in my family is a poet. These names are just shields for the names we speak in the dark, to remember our darkness, our savage death rites we still practice in the new world. My Korean name is a star my mother cooks into the jjigae to follow home when I'm lost, which is always in this gray country, this violet foster home whose streets are paved with shame, this factory yard riddled with bullies ready to steal your skin and sell it back to your mother for profit, land where they stuff our throats with soil and accuse us of gluttony when we learn to swallow it. I confess, I'm greedy. I think I deserve to be seen for what I am. A boundless, burning wick, a perfect cord. I confess, if someone has looked at my crooked spine and called that Elmwood, I've accepted. If someone has loved me more for my Korean name, for my saint name, I've welcomed them into this house. I cooked them each a meal with a star singing at the bottom of the bowl. Sunflower oil, blood sausage, a name given by your dead grandfather who eventually forgot everything he had touched. I promise I'll never stop stealing back what's mine. I promise I won't forget again. Thank you.
With the entire internet under Tony Monotony's control, he set forth trying to rid the world of all expression.
Now that I have control over the entire interweb, I can take away everyone's expression, leaving me the only one with charisma, charm, and dare I say, pizzazz. All right, henchmen, throw the switch!
Well, Grandma, I have enjoyed having a short conversation with you.
I too have enjoyed the conversation. I will continue to send money in small envelopes to you.
And I will spend it on items I don't need.
Okay, class, it's time to move your arms and legs in a pattern as we listen to some old music.
Hello, fellow child. Would you like to participate in an online game of watching paint dry?
I have no opinion on this matter.
While the entire world deals with the horror of turning into expressionless zombies, the super kids with their unique expertise came prepared.
Wearing these masks to shield our eyes from the computer screens was a great idea, hacker.
Thanks.
Now all I need to do is hack into Tony Monotony's system so we can hit him where it hurts.
Meanwhile, back at Tony Monotony's evil lair, the henchmen prepare for Phase 2.
All right, henchmen, prepare for Stage 2.
It's Phase 2.
Sir, there's something wrong with the system. I think we've been hacked.
Super Kids! Henchmen! Man your station! It's showtime!
Well. If it isn't Unface.
Alright, Super Kids, let's show them what we got!
Oh, homework. Oh, homework. I hate you. You stink.
I'm flying, riding in the breeze.
They call me, but I won't come out since Hannah moved away.
And so we run with all our might. And oh, we will not go inside that haunted house tonight.
While Unface was being bombarded by a bounty of beautiful facial expressions, more Super Kids had joined the fight and they were taking Statue to town.
Teacher, please don't look at me. The answer is a mystery.
I'm staring into empty air. I'm sliding underneath my chair.
I'm making myself very small. I wish I wasn't here at all.
Teacher, pass me by. Please pick on some other guy.
Teacher, call on me. I know the answer, can't you see?
This one's a rap, a snap, a breeze. Just look in my direction, please. I'm almost bouncing off my chair. I'm waving both hands in the air. Teacher, ask me first.
'Cause if you don't, I think I'll burst!
Meanwhile, the Super Kids continue their facial expression bombardment on Unface. With two henchmen indisposed, the rest of the Super Kids went for the throat of Robata.
Forget it, Super Kids! Exclamation mark. You can't change me. Period.
Really? Welcome to the Voice Cafe. Care to try a sample of vocal variety?
I fear variety. Period.
On the ning nang nong, where the cows go bong.
And the monkeys all say boo. There's a nong nang ning.
Where the trees go ping and the teapots jibber jabber joo.
On the nong nang nang, all the mice go clag.
And you just can't catch them when they do. So it's ning, nang, nong.
Trees go ping, nong, ning, nang.
The mice go clang! What a noisy place to belong!
It's a ning, nang, nang, exclamation mark!
Meanwhile, as the Super Kids were dealing with the henchmen, Tony Monotony had moved on to Phase 2.
Forget it, Super Kids. When I push this button, I will control all the minds of these expressionless zombies, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh yeah, we'll unleash our special powers on you, just like we did to your henchmen.
Not if I push this first.
Why is he moving so slowly?
Will Tony Monotony push the button? Will his evil plan work? Or will the Super Kids come to the rescue? Stay tuned for the next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen Ms. Novak.
No, you're the best bunny. Oh, hello. BASA students compete at our West Coast Festival for the Performing Arts every year. Wickafapa. They also have the opportunity to challenge themselves at external festivals or festivals outside of BASA. This year we had quite a few BASA students compete at the Vancouver Speech and Drama Festival, also known as VAYA, short for Vancouver Area Youth Arts, as well as the Prince George Speech and Drama Festival. Some BASA students even participated in provincials, where they competed against speech students from around BC. That's amazing! Let's take a look at the brave students who took their BASA skills to the streets. Or in this case, organized extracurricular festivals. The amazing performers are...
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen, Ms. Harvey.
In the 12 years since I started teaching speech arts, I've come to believe that every child deserves and has the potential to make their voice heard, although we all face different barriers in expressing ourselves. But every now and then a student comes along that brings their whole heart to the work. Megan Choi is one of those students, who approaches every project with passion, commitment, and bravery. She spent a lot of this year exploring themes of identity and belonging in her writing and her performance. 2 of her festival pieces were about deafness, and all addressed the barriers that arise from being perceived as different. Megan didn't know sign language at the start of the year, but she learned enough to be able to translate one of her scenes into ASL so that she could perform it in both sign and English. And she interviewed a community member about the experience of being deaf. Megan's been at BASA for 5 years, and she has struggled at times to express her emotions openly. But this year she broke through her fear, and she embodied characters with rare vulnerability and honesty. This is the kind of unsung heroism that I see in my classroom all the time, and that makes me love and believe in what we do. Megan won BASA's 2021 Senior Invitational Festival. But more than that, she moved her audience with a performance that, like all great art, inspired greater empathy with those who experience the world differently than ourselves.
Beethoven by Shane Koizen. Listen, his father made a habit out of hitting him. See, some men drink, some men yell, some men hit their children. This man did it all because I guess all men want their boys to be geniuses. Beethoven, little boy living in a house where a name meant nothing, living in a house where mercy had to be earned through each perfect note tumbling up through the roof to tickle the toes of angels whose harps couldn't hold half the passion that was held in the hands of a young boy who was hard of hearing. Beethoven, who heard his father's anthem every time he put his finger to ivory. It was not good enough, so he played slowly. Not good enough, so he played softly. Not good enough, so he played strongly. Not good enough, and when he could play no more, when his fingers cramped up into the gnarled roots of tree trunks, it was not good enough. Beethoven, a musician without his most precious tool, his eardrums, could no longer pound out rhythms for the symphonies playing in his mind. He couldn't hear the audiences clapping, couldn't hear the people loving him, couldn't hear the woman in the front row whispering, Beethoven. And kings, queens didn't matter. The man got down on his knees for no one, but amputated the legs of his piano so he could feel the vibrations through the floor. The man got down on his knees for music. And when the orchestras played his symphonies, it was the echoes of his father's anthem repeating itself like a broken record. It was not good enough. So they played softly. Not good enough, so they played strongly. Not good enough, so they tried to mock the man by mimicking the movements, by holding their bows a quarter of an inch above the strings, not making a sound. It was perfect. See, the deaf have an intimacy with silence. It's there in their dreams, and the musicians turn to one another, not knowing what to make of the man, trying to calculate the distance between madness and genius, realizing that Beethoven's musical measurements could take you distances, reaching past the towers of Babylon, turning solar systems into symbols, causing comets to collide, creating crescendos that were so loud they shook the constellations until the stars began to fall from the sky. And it looked like the entire universe had begun to cry. Distance must be an illusion. The man must be a genius. Beethoven, his thoughts moving at the speed of sound, transforming emotion into music, like for the first time joy was a tangible thing, like we could touch it, like we could see love and hate dance together in a waltz of such precision and beauty that we finally understood. The history wasn't important. To know the man, all we ever had to do was listen.
Please welcome to the screen, Mr. Wong.
Despite things still being a little different this year, our ambassador volunteers have still supported our community by giving back at the December and the June recitals. We wanted to take a moment to recognize a few of our volunteers for their accomplishments. Joining the ranks of ambassadors who have earned 30 or more volunteer hours are this year's recipients of the BASA Outstanding Service Star, Ethan Chen, Crystal Pang, and Ryan Wei. Joining the ranks of ambassadors who have earned at least 60 volunteer hours are this year's recipients of the BASA Excellence in Service Trophy, Kathleen Liu and Wyatt Singata. And joining the ranks of ambassadors who have earned the Ambassador Commendation of Excellence, essentially Ambassador of the Year, is this year's recipient. It takes a lot for a head ambassador to coordinate various video groups, MC multiple recital groups, and be a mentor to our younger junior ambassadors. It's even more impressive when we have to ask a senior ambassador to step up to that role before they're expected to. And so please join me in congratulating this year's recipient, Megan Choi. And finally, we have one new award that we wanted to present at this year's June Gala. Over the past few years, our BASA faculty assistants have heroically supported our community by being writers' room mentors, rehearsal coaches, and administrative assistants. Over the past year, they've even become FastPass instructors, assisted teachers with adjudication, and even co-taught persuasive speaking and group theory classes. 2 faculty assistants, we feel, have gone above and beyond what was expected of them. And so please join me in congratulating the first 2 ever recipients of the BASA Faculty Assistant Trophy of Excellence, Kathleen Liu and Wyatt Singata.
The Super Kids had triumphed converting the henchmen to the light side of emotion, but Tony Monotony's finger was about to take over the minds of internet users everywhere.
I'm going to enjoy this.
That was easy.
Tony is the best in the land.
Mom, when I grow up, can I have a mustache just like Tony Monotony? Tony. 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 Tony.
His evil plan had worked. But wait!
But wait, if Tony has control over all the expressions in the world, we just have to take it back.
The Super Kids called on each other far and wide using the fabulous power of the Soapbox newsletter.
This is informative. And not just for parents.
The Super Kids army started marching towards Tony from all directions. North, south, east, west, even from one.
Quick! My henchmen! Where are you?
But Unfaced Statue and Robota were all busy reading Mo Willems' pigeon books.
Too late? Rats! Why do I have to go to school?
Vroomy vroom vroom! Pigeon at the wheel!
Ooh! A cookie! Yummy!
Tony Monotony was ready to have his supervillain breakdown.
Those disgusting emotors over-dramatized my henchmen into filthy pools of feelings. And what's worse, they're raiding Mo Willems, my arch nemesis. Darn that Willems and his universal appeal to children.
Without his trusty henchmen, Tony felt...
I feel...
empty?
Yes. Empty. Expressionless. For the first time in my life.
You see, it's not fun to feel expressionless.
What have I done?
Nothing that an expression party can solve.
The expression party went viral. Tony even had such a good time that he undid his worst deed.
That was easy.
Children all over the world regained their own minds, voices, and hearts once again.
I don't want to be Tony. I want to be me. I want to fly a kite, punch a dinosaur, and eat the moon.
Some expressions were grand.
I want to go to bed every day, Mom, or else.
And some expressions were a threat. But thanks to the Super Kids, every expression was once again unique. And Tony took up gardening.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen, Mr. Wong.
In the summer of 2008, I sat down to teach my first ever student at BASA. There are two things you should know about him. One is that he was 5 years old at the time, and the other is that he was shorter than me at the time. Neither of those things are true anymore. Over the past 13 years, a lot has changed. Our conversations have gone from being about Pokemon and Skylanders to being about driving and university applications. Our classes have gone from being about donuts named Arnie to poems by Shane Koizan. Our cubes have gone from us preparing him for a cube to watching him prepare younger students for their cube. But there are some things that haven't changed. What hasn't changed is that this year's valedictorian has always been there for the BASA community. In fact, I can confidently say that no other student has given more to the community during their time at BASA than this year's valedictorian. When BASA needed somebody to hand-deliver hundreds of copies of The Bellows, he was there to support our community by spending days driving around the Lower Mainland making sure every student who wanted a copy got a copy. When BASA needed somebody to adjudicate a festival, or co-teach a group class, or step in as rehearsal coach, he was there to support our community by being the amazing role model he is. When BASA needed a writer's room mentor, a faculty assistant at the front desk, a rehearsal coach, a maintenance worker, a delivery person, a cube instructor, a fast pass instructor, an adjudicator. He was there to be the amazing leader that he is. Simply put, when Bassa needed him, like any other hero, he was there. Please join me in welcoming this year's valedictorian, Wyatt Sangata.
After 13 years at Bassa, I've met a lot of people. To some of them, I've been a student, a teacher, a coworker, hopefully a friend. But to most people, I'm that guy that randomly knocked on your front door with a book or a trophy. And even with all of these different roles and responsibilities, I've never been big on change. I've had the same teacher since I was 5 years old. I've had the same friend since elementary school, and I've had basically the same morning routine for as long as I can remember. And so now, what has been the biggest part of my life is moving into my past. I've got a lot to think about. For those of you that are kind of like me, and would rather have everything stay exactly as it is because new things are scary, the biggest key to success that I have found is embracing change. This has been drilled into my head every year of my life by my teachers, and I didn't really think it was true until now. But it turns out life changes whether you want it to or not. And that knowledge will no doubt come in handy as I grow older and move into the future. But the biggest thing I've learned over my 13 years at Bassa, aside from telling the difference between two very similar pictures in a weirdly short amount of time, is from CUBE, or the CCCs, which I'm pretty sure stand for confidence, charisma, and calmness. And that can basically be summed up into something Mr. Wong has told me before every single performance of my life. It doesn't really matter what you say, it's how you say it. Let me explain what I'm talking about. I remember back when I used to do RCM exams, there was always something I'd forget to do. Author studies, mime, memorize a few lines of my piece. But I would strut into that large purple room with my bowl cut and dress shorts and put on the most exciting, whimsical, and sometimes heartbreaking performance of my life. And that's not to say that I haven't had some train wreck performances. Oh no. Lobby performances, my first cube with Mrs. Carlone, my first duologue performance. But one thing that all of these attempts have had in common is that I didn't go up on stage with the same confidence that little 8-year-old Wyatt had. Instead, I panicked in the car, forgot my poem, or went up on stage and needed a script. With all of these experiences, titles, roles, whatever you want to call it, the best piece of advice that I can give about change is that it doesn't really matter what's changing, it's how you approach it. If you believe in yourself, so will everyone else. When everything around you is changing, have the confidence to believe that it'll all work out for the better. Stay calm even if there doesn't seem to be end in sight. And remember to always laugh loudly, clap enthusiastically, and maybe even shed a tear or two.
Please welcome to the screen, Mr. S.
Thank you so much for joining us in our celebration of achievement and excellence. After a show like this, there are so many people to thank. As always, I would like to acknowledge that we are living in the legacy of our founder, Lee Bolton Robinson. Her vision for what speech arts could be and what young people are capable of continue to motivate everything we do. Bassa would not be without your inspiration. As always, I would like to acknowledge the amazing Bassa staff, the teachers, administrators, and faculty assistants who have worked tirelessly in order to bring a challenging year to fruition. Despite the uncertainty and chaos of the last year, our staff have not just maintained the status quo, but grown. We've added new programs, new features to our community, and provided support for students through their regular classes, as well as sessions provided by our BFA and rehearsal coaches. It has not been an easy year, but in the face of adversity, we continue to focus on the growth of our students and the health of our community. Bassa would not be without your determination. As always, I would like to acknowledge the parents and grandparents and caregivers who still make our lessons possible. I know the time spent driving back and forth from Bassa has greatly diminished over the last year, but the time spent in rehearsal and reminding has stayed constant.
And the success we find is due in large part to the involvement of parents and caregivers and grandparents who only want the best for their children. BASA would not be without your support. As always, and maybe even especially this year, I would like to thank our students. You have endured so much, and yet you continue to persevere. The other day I had a student who created a speech about time. He had a line that I thought was profound. He said that if you want things to last longer, just stop having fun. Time always moves more slowly when you're not having fun. Well, this year has flown by so fast for me. Way faster than I thought it would, way faster than I thought it could, precisely because of what he implied. I had so much fun with my students. Despite everything, there was joy. Every time the camera started and my student appeared, every time they shared a success or how they overcame an obstacle, every time we explored a piece of literature or a performance, something so familiar in an unfamiliar environment, there was joy. And it was that joy that made this year fly by, and I thank you for it. BASA would not be without you. And so in closing, thank you all for joining us this year and for this show. I hope to see you soon.